Day 30. Exodus 23-24. You shall not spread a false report. Do not join the wicked by being a malicious witness. You shall not follow the crowd in wrongdoing. When you testify in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd. And do not show favoritism to a poor man in his lawsuit. If you encounter your enemy's stray ox or donkey, you must return it to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you fallen under its load, do not leave it there, you must help him with it. You shall not deny justice to the poor in their lawsuits. Stay far away from a false accusation. Do not kill the innocent or the just, for I will not acquit the guilty. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds those who see and twists the words of the righteous. Do not oppress a foreign resident, since you yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners, for you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. For 6 years you are to sow your land and gather its produce, but in the 7th year you must let it rest and lie fallow, so that the poor among your people may eat from the field and the wild animals may consume what they leave. Do the same with your vineyard and olive grove. For 6 days you are to do your work, but on the 7th day you must cease, so that your ox and your donkey may rest and the son of your maidservant may be refreshed, as well as the foreign resident. Pay close attention to everything I have said to you. You must not invoke the names of other gods, they must not be heard on your lips. 3 times a year you are to celebrate a feast to me. You are to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread as I commanded you. At the appointed time in the month of Abib you are to eat unleavened bread for 7 days, because that was the month you came out of Egypt. No one may appear before me empty-handed. You are also to keep the Feast of Harvest with the firstfruits of the produce from what you sow in the field. And keep the Feast of Ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather your produce from the field. 3 times a year all your males are to appear before the Lord God. You must not offer the blood of my sacrifices with anything leavened, nor may the fat of my feast remain until morning. Bring the best of the firstfruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. You must not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Behold, I am sending an angel before you to protect you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to his voice, do not defy him, for he will not forgive rebellion, since my name is in him. But if you will listen carefully to his voice and do everything I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and I will annihilate them. You must not bow down to their gods or serve them or follow their practices. Instead, you are to demolish them and smash their sacred stones to pieces. So you shall serve the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread and your water. And I will take away sickness from among you. No woman in your land will miscarry or be barren, I will fulfill the number of your days. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. I will make all your enemies turn and run. I will send a hornet before you to drive the Hivites and Canaanites and Hittites out of your way. I will not drive them out before you in a single year, otherwise the land would become desolate and wild animals would multiply against you. Little by little I will drive them out ahead of you, until you become fruitful and possess the land. And I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the desert to the Euphrates. For I will deliver the inhabitants into your hand, and you will drive them out before you. You shall make no covenant with them or with their gods. They must not remain in your land, lest they cause you to sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to you. Then the Lord said to Moses, Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of Israel's elders, and you are to worship at a distance. Moses alone shall approach the Lord, but the others must not come near. And the people may not go up with him. When Moses came and told the people all the words and ordinances of the Lord, they all responded with one voice, All the words that the Lord has spoken, we will do. And Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord. Early the next morning he got up and built an altar at the base of the mountain, along with 12 pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent out some young men of Israel, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and put it in bowls, and the other half he sprinkled on the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people, who replied, All that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient. So Moses took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words. Then Moses went up with Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was a work like a pavement made of sapphire, as clear as the sky itself. But God did not lay his hand on the nobles of Israel, they saw him, and they ate and drank. Then the Lord said to Moses, Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, so that I may give you the tablets of stone, with the law and commandments I have written for their instruction. So Moses set out with Joshua his attendant and went up on the mountain of God. And he said to the elders, Wait here for us until we return to you. Aaron and Hur are here with you. Whoever has a dispute can go to them. When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered it, and on the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like a consuming fire on the mountaintop in the eyes of the Israelites. Moses entered the cloud as he went up on the mountain, and he remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Matthew 20 verses 1-16. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. About the 3rd hour he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. You also go into my vineyard, he said, and I will pay you whatever is right. So they went. He went out again about the 6th hour and the 9th hour and did the same thing. About the 11th hour he went out and found still others standing around. Why have you been standing here all day long doing nothing? He asked. Because no one has hired us, they answered. So he told them, You also go into my vineyard. When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, Call the workers and pay them their wages. Starting with the last ones hired and moving on to the first. The workers who were hired about the 11th hour came and each received a denarius. So when the original workers came, they assumed they would receive more. But each of them also received a denarius. On receiving their pay, they began to grumble against the landowner. These men who were hired last worked only 1 hour, they said, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden and the scorching heat of the day. But he answered one of them, Friend, I am not being unfair to you. Did you not agree with me on 1 denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give this last man the same as I gave you. Do I not have the right to do as I please with what is mine? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last.